5 changes that could apparently make a big difference in your 401k. Or no, 5 changes to your 401k that could make a big difference to your retirement. Allegedly. I found this
Allegedly.
list. I need you to break it down for me, Mike. All right. So that's what
Yep.
we're going to do. Here we go. Come on, everybody. Let's go. This is Mike Douglas, certified financial planner, Michigan's retirement coach. And I'm Heather Branch here to ask Mike about the things that I find online. I'm like, we were talking actually off mic about how your wife, Kimberly, likes to just send you videos. And did you watch that video? Did you listen to that video? It's like, okay, you sent me 4 videos. I need you to prioritize which video. And I'm over here, your work wife, being like, look at this list. Look at this.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because this list is coming from marketwatch.com, a reliable source that many of us look at for information on many different places from many different financial perspectives.
Yep.
But they published this article talking about 5 changes to a 401k that could make a big difference in your retirement. And this is stuff that I hadn't heard of before, Mike. So I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on this. Are these basically suggestions that may or may not come to fruition from a legal perspective? And also, let's discuss the idea of what you look for when you review, because you've reviewed. You couldn't even begin to count how many 401k reviews you've done in your office.
No.
So summarize what this is and then also talk about what it is you look for in a 401k review process.
So some of this is proposed legislation. Some of it is just things that are being co-opted in the industry. And so we can talk through some of those and what I see as pros and cons. Because I think there's very rarely a straight pro or a straight con. There's almost always
every ying's got a yang.
Yes. So let's go through them. So the 5 things that MarketWatch says, 5 changes to a 401k that could make a big difference in your retirement. The first one was a proposal to give credits for long-term family caregivers. So this was built around the idea that what happens if I have to step out of the workforce for a little while to care for my parent or somebody who needs help? Then I try to jump back into the workforce to prepare for my own retirement. Could there be an extra provision to catch up? And it says specifically here, in many families, loved ones become caregivers for relatives who are older or who fall ill. They often back on the hours. They back out on offers they could be working or even stop working altogether. A bill in Congress would allow people to make catch-up contributions to retirement accounts such as 401k plans and IRAs if they took time away as a caregiver. I love the idea. A couple of reasons why I love the idea. One,
I felt coming on. Please carry on, sir.
Here's the goods.
Okay.
Number one, I think it's good that we're giving people opportunities to save more money.
Yeah.
Right. So this isn't the government giving you free money because you did this. This is, hey, you know what? You had to step out for a while. We get it. We will allow you to put more money into savings, which I already think it's stupid that they limit how much we can save. I already don't like it.
Right.
But they are saying, hey, if this were to go through, they're saying, you know what, just like at age 50, you get a catch-up contribution. There's going to be this extra one of, hey, if you can prove that you stepped out to caregive, then you can save more money.
Okay.
The but is the part I said there were if you can prove that you stepped out to caregive.
Okay.
How do you prove that?
Right.
Right. Like if your parent's sick and you're 45 years old, and so you stop working to do that, and then you're going to go through and well, yeah, I was caregiving. Okay. Well, if they just take your word for it, what's to keep people from saying I did it? You know, I could have done more. I don't know how they quantify that. Right. If you're not a licensed caregiver, and I don't think you have to, my mother-in-law cared for my wife's grandfather for years and her grandmother. So it's like, she's given her life to care for them. And it was really difficult. She couldn't work because why? Because through the night, she's checking up on them, taking care of them. It's a very real thing. Yeah. But if they're going to ask you to prove that you were a caregiver for a family member, how do you do that? They don't pay you. You know, your father does not pay you for helping him around the house because he can't move. Like, it's just not. So I don't know how they quantify that, how they detail that out. And then how do you avoid people taking advantage of it? But at the same time, I think it's stupid that they limit how much you can save in a 401k anyways. You know what?
Okay.
If Social Security is going to have these funding issues down the road, companies aren't giving pensions. Why are you saying I can only put in $24,000 a year into a 401k? Just let me put in as much as I want. I'm saving for my retirement. Let me do it pre-tax. I get why, because there's tax benefits.
Pensions essentially gone away. Social Security is in trouble. Like, I got to do something.
Right. And their whole thing is, well, because there's tax advantages inside of it. There should be for savers. if you put money away and you save it, then there should be something. Because why? Because I'm footing the bill for my own retirement. So let me at least do something right. Okay.
Right.
So that's the
Okay.
first one. Number one,
Okay.
give credits. If we're going back to C or no, or yes or no, do I agree, disagree? I agree mostly. I love the idea of it.
Okay.
I'm wondering how the application works. That's all.
Sure. Sure.
Number two, automate annuities and target date funds.
Okay,
Target
so this one, this is loaded. That was a lot of words in
super
one
nerdy.
sentence.
We're about to get super nerdy on this one.
Okay. All right.
So target date funds are in your 401k. And the whole idea is that you say, when am I going to retire? 2045. Okay, great. So you get a target date 2045 fund. And as you get older, it goes from risk and conservative. It kind of starts to balance out more. Where when you're young, if I'm going to retire in 20 to 25 years, it's a risky portfolio. So I have all these equities and only a few bonds. And then as you get closer to retirement, it just every year, little bit by little bit, it gets a little bit more even. Even when you retire or get to that date, it's still like 50-50. It's not like, hey, I've gone to super safe and very conservative. It's still about 50-50 equities to bonds.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're saying inside of this is target date linked accounts. They automatically adjust typically for more, like I said, from equities to bonds. But now some 401k providers are offering target date funds that automatically incorporate annuities into the portfolio.
Okay.
So instead of bonds, you buy annuities.
Okay.
So I think this is a good idea. I'm nervous about what people actually understand about the investment.
That's, I think, the problem. The real problem is, as with all target date funds, people don't actually know what's happening.
Right. We talked about this a couple episodes ago where we were saying that now that you can do private equity in 401ks, and you can invest in IPOs and 401ks with a lot of the new laws that are passing. I think it's super cool. And for nerdy people like me, or for people who really get passionate about it, it's like, hey, that'd be great to invest in private equity and all these really cool things. However, how many people are going to get into it not understanding how risky it is or how speculative it is? And the same way, I don't mind annuities. I like annuities. I think they can be a good tool for the right client in the right situation, as long as they understand how they work, understand that there's a long-term investment, understand that there's a lack of liquidity, understand that there's mitigated gains.
Yeah.
You have to really understand those pieces to determine if it's a good fit for you. I feel like in these, what's going to happen is people say, I have a target date fund. So when I retire, it's going to be accounts that I can get to. Can you take the money out of that annuity would be my question. Mm-hmm. Or am I buying something that I don't realize that when I retire, I can't just liquidate out to get to buy an RV or whatever, right? Like, I just think that there's some concerns there. I would rather see it not built into a target date fund, but as a separate line item in the 401k. You can get a target date fund, or would you like a lifetime annuity? Yeah. And you can put money into it. And if you put money into it, you have to sign some disclosures and maybe you watch a video. I understand that this is what this means. You sign off on it. Great. Well, then I got educated before I purchased, because when you buy a target date fund, you can change out every paycheck if you want. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to move in and out. Annuities, you can't move in and out of. Right. They are a long-term investment. I'm not saying they're a bad investment. I'm not saying they're a good investment. I'm saying they're a long-term investment. You need
to know what you're working with.
Man, there's a lot of fine print annuity contracts. And I think there's some that are wonderful and some that absolutely suck. So I just think we have to be aware of what we're buying. In the same way, I would never buy a car that was behind a curtain and I hadn't really seen, but they say, just so you know, this car will drive you everywhere you need to go the rest of your life. Well, what kind of car is it? And it's a brand you've never heard of.
You've got 4 kids. It's a 2-door sports car.
Yeah. And I just think that I want to be well informed before I make a decision on a long-term investment, especially if it's the last car I get to own the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. So I don't like them being wrapped into target date funds. Okay. I'd rather see them separate line item. But then that kind of speaks into the next one, which is number 3, more guaranteed income options in 401ks. Mm-hmm. There are many more guaranteed income products available outside of 401ks than there are inside of them. So having a centralized marketplace that offers both could be a really good thing. That really speaks to what I think. I don't like them in target date funds, but I do like the idea that, you know what, I have this investment, and if I can start putting away money, a portion of my portfolio every year into an annuity, by the time I retire, it's going to kick out an extra $5,000 a month of income the rest of my life. That's really good income. That's your own pension. The difference is I've got this pension, and if I live, I get the income. If my wife is living and I die, she still gets the income. If we both die, the cash in that account goes to my kids. So that's better than a pension, in my opinion. and you can start self-funding your own pension early on, the same way that all the people in the unions and like my IBEW guys, like they're funding into their and our police officers and firemen, they're funding into their pension plan by doing withholdings.
Mm-hmm.
You can fund into your own pension inside of an annuity inside your 401k if it was line itemed out. So I do think that would be really good. Again, it needs to come with some caveats, some strict rules saying, hey, do you understand exactly what you're saying here? Do you understand what you're trying to invest in? I think that would be a better solution. So I do like it though. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Number 4, the one that I have the most issue with, forbid pre-retirement withdrawals. So again,
and I asked you again before we started recording this podcast, I was saying that one in particular, I'm like, what is that? Just, is this article suggesting it's like forbid yourself? Is it just your own will? Or is it something that they're looking to make an option that you can put on your own savings account, your own 401k?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just like a rebellious nature inside of me, but when someone says I forbid it, I'm like, okay, all right, buddy. All right. I'm doing it.
The streets.
I'm doing it now, no matter what, I'm ripping it all out of there. No. So I understand what they're saying. One of the biggest challenges for people is when you change jobs. What do I do with this old 401k? So a handful of companies, Fidelity, Vanguard, several others, were trying to create like a mesh network where they would say, if I've got a Fidelity 401k because of my job, I leave that job for a new job and they don't use that. They use Empower or they use Vanguard. Well, what is the easiest way to go from company to company? If they created a mesh network that said, hey, we can see through into that one, we can automatically pull it over for you.
Okay.
You're not doing withdrawals. You're not doing rollovers. You're not doing all this stuff. It's just it's a partnership network. I think this is a great example of the market solving a problem without the government intervention.
Okay.
These companies are seeing the issue of orphan 401ks or people who are withdrawing money out of their 401k because they are just trying to get over to the new one, but then struggling to get it moved.
And they make a mistake, and then they accidentally create a tax or a fee situation for themselves.
Yes, because you know what? If you're not a financial advisor, it's not that you can't do it. It's that you don't like doing this type of stuff often. Right? Yeah. You're really good at being a nurse, at being a teacher, at being a mechanic, at being whatever you are, right? You're good at your job, and this 401k is a benefit that job gave you. So now you go start a new job at a new place, in a new building, in a new parking lot, in a new calendar, a new everything. Oh, by the way, you got to deal with that old 401k. Yeah, I'll get to it. That's what I hear all the time from people. I still got to deal with that thing. So the idea of a mesh network that does that is awesome. I think that's really, really cool. However, one of the caveats was they were saying that they were looking for stricter rules that would prevent people from pulling the money out early because they call it leakage. They don't want you just taking money out because it should stay in your retirement account. And specifically some of the verbiage they use, I really didn't care for. It was the one line where it said, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I say it really correctly. Cash outs are a big part of the problem because workers face hurdles in rolling over things, so on. They may need to submit extensive paperwork or navigate communication between two firms. So they're describing the benefit of the mesh network.
Yeah.
But they also say there's these issues with the leakage part where they say people are just taking the money out and using it for non-retirement based things.
Mm-hmm.
And that they want to prevent that because they want you to build up your retirement assets. Because at 65, you'll say, man, I shouldn't have taken that money out at 35. Right. However, if you've ever been in that spot where your taxes hit and you need money, or you have a major medical issue with one of your kids, I'll pay a 10% fee to make sure my kids have the medical care they need. And I don't need Vanguard or Fidelity telling me you can't touch that money because you're not ready to retire yet. Forget
it's still
you.
your money.
It's my money, my family, my more urgent pressing need. Now, should you have to sign off? Yes, I understand there's a 10% fee. I understand this. I understand that. Yes, because you need to know. But forbid me to take my own money out?
Yeah.
Get the heck out of here. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
So, especially because, in the perfect world, we would always have a good, 6 months of savings. We would have a good emergency fund. And when we get a $20,000 medical bill, you're able to pull from your savings account and take care of it. But some of us live in reality. And when you're a young family and you've got kids, and like I remember specifically when Gavin was, I think maybe just 1.5 years old, something like that. Mm-hmm. It was either when he was one, had just turned 1 into 2 or just turned 2, whatever it was. It was right around Christmas time. And he was a little kid and Kimberly's making dinner for us. I was sick. I had the flu and I'm laying on the couch and Kimberly brought me a hot chocolate and I'm sitting on the couch holding this hot chocolate, but I'm falling asleep because of this flu is knocking me out. So I
Mm.
take it and set it on the table next to me. And then I fall back asleep. Kimberly's making dinner. Gavin's running around the room, walks over, grabs the hot chocolate and pulls it down on himself. So he gets burns. It goes down on him, gets burns. We have to go to the emergency room. We're there for
Mm.
several days. Over New
Mm.
Year's, we're in this
Oh,
emergency
wow.
room.
Several days.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It
How
was a
hot was
very,
that hot chocolate?
very scary moment. Young, all this stuff. He's completely
Yeah.
fine. We didn't have to have
Yeah.
surgeries or anything. It all worked out. But in those moments, and the medical bill started coming in, yeah, we had to make some really hard, difficult decisions on how do we pay these medical bills.
Yeah.
And I was probably 29 or 30 when this happened.
Yeah.
If you're telling me that I can't take from my 70-year-old Mike money to pay for this major medical bill we had to pay for because of a 10% penalty, you say, no, you can't do that. I'd have fought you for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think we have to be more aware of what real life looks like. So I
Yeah.
like the idea of the mesh network, help people move money when they don't want to deal with it. I think you should do that. Take the word forbid out of your mouth, right? Not to go like a Will Smith on it, but it's like, get forbid out of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
We do not need to be telling people what they can and can't do with their money.
Right.
I don't like oversight that much, but I do think we should make it so companies have less ability to restrict you from getting your own money. So the mesh network, good. Forbidding me from touching my own money, very bad.
Got it.
That was number 4.
Okay.
If you can't tell, that's one I do not like being told. Yeah. Trigger warning. Say I can't touch my own money again. Last one, number 5, make plans available to more people. I think this is kind of a no-brainer, but a lot of states are trying to deal with this right now where they're shortening. Because a long time you had to like be at a job for a year or 2 years before you qualified for the 401k plan.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to make these laws right now and say, listen, if you hire someone, they're eligible. Just put them in the plan. If they save, you match them. That's it. For a long time, companies didn't like it because what happens? Well, there's a certain percentage of people you hire and they don't make it past 90 days or they don't make it past 6 months or even a year. Some jobs take a long time to make sure they're up and running, and you don't know for a year if they're a good employee. So why the heck would a company have to invest into the 401k of that in person if you don't even know if they're going to work out yet?
Right.
I get it. You just have to build it into the cost of hiring somebody. Because the percentage of people who do work out is pretty good if you hire well. Hopefully it makes you hire better. And at the same time, help people save. I do not trust the full fundability of Social Security for people under the age of 60 right now, 65. And so for the younger crowd, anybody who's watching, or even middle-aged crowd, I think that if you get a job and that company has a 401k, you should be immediately eligible for 401k. So I do think plans should be available to more people.
Right.
That doesn't mean the person has to put money into it. And if the person doesn't put money into it, then the company doesn't have to put money into it. But if you're willing to hire someone, and I'm saying this as a business owner, if you're willing to hire someone and you're willing to offer a 401k to your employees, day one, you want to try and keep a good employee, day one, so I'll match you day one. You don't have to earn it from me for 6 months. You earned it by getting hired. Now let's open up a 401k. Let's get you saving. Let's get you invested in what we're doing here as a company. And hopefully then you keep around a good employee longer. So I do think that's a good thing. I'm a big fan of that. Help people help themselves. Right. So if you will save in a 401k, I'm going to open that account for you and get you going. Because again, be an employer who loves people and I get it. I fully understand it adds an expense to hiring. It's still worth it. People are still worth it, and hiring good people is still worth it.
All right. We've gone through these 5 points real quick because I know you got to go. We're recording this podcast on a time crunch, but real quick, when you're doing a 401k review process, is there a couple ideas you can give YouTube podcast listeners right now as far as what they should expect, what they should be asking for, what they should be looking for regarding their 401k?
Yeah, I know we talked about target date funds. I do still like them to a certain extent. If you don't want to manage it yourself, target date funds are a great way to have it managed for you. Okay. They typically have a higher fee ratio, but because someone's actually managing it for you. So I think that's worth it. I think sometimes fees are good if you get value. Fees are always an issue in the absence of value. So I would use target date funds if you don't want to actually self-manage. However, though, if you're
know what's going on inside them.
Hmm?
Make sure you know what's going on inside them.
Yeah, I'd say, are there annuities inside this thing? So
Right.
again, know before you invest, know the
Yeah.
strategy, know who you are, and know your horizon. If you're 45, 50 or under, I I'm not giving you a recommendation, but you may want to consider being very aggressive for the next 10 to 15 years. Just let it go. Keep
Okay.
dumping more money in. Crashing markets are a beautiful thing because you dollar cost average, you buy on the dip and you run it up.
Got it.
If you're 50 or older, 55 or older, start maybe using those target date funds to scale back appropriate risk. And just, I know we don't like dealing with them. A lot of times people don't care about them so much. It's there. Just check in on them. Be a little more
Yeah.
proactive. Um, and I'd say the last thing is find out if you have a Roth 401k option,
Okay.
because Roth 401ks are becoming extremely popular and more common. And it's a great way to start building up a tax-free retirement plan.
Got it. All right. Well, if you have questions about your 401k, your IRA, your TSP, your 403b, whatever it is that you're invested in for your savings, if you want to know what's going on with it, if you've got questions, Mike and his team, they're here to help you get some answers. Michigan's retirementcoach.com is where you can go to start that conversation with Mike and his team. We also have links posted in the show notes.